Okay. There's nothing happening in the world today, I hear, so this should be a quick one. Peter, welcome from book leave. Now they're going to ask me especially hard questions. Zeke.
Hunter Biden, the New York Post is reporting, looking at White House visitor logs, there were 19 visits to the White House while the president was vice president by Hunter Biden's business partner, including one with the vice president. Can you help us understand why that business partner had access and what those meetings were about?
I don't have any information on that. I'm happy to check and see if we have any more comment.
Who are now trying to deal with an influx of migrants that they know is going to only increase, as you just mentioned, after Title 42 is lifted.
Well, I would just say if we just dial it back a few years to kind of what we inherited here, the former president invested billions of dollars in a border wall that was never going to work or be effective. And
I believe that there will not be a surge as a result of Title 42 being lifted.
Well, the Department of Homeland Security has projected that there could be an increase in people coming to the border, and that's why they've had a six-part, multi-part plan and proposal and policy they've been implementing for months now to prepare for that.
Title 42.
The president has pushed those spending proposals. The San Francisco Federal Reserve released a report.
They'd be fully paid for, so they're not actually spending proposals. They're proposals to lower costs that are fully paid for.
Ron, just along those lines, Ron Klain tweeted an interesting observation that President Macron secured a double-digit victory at a time when his approval rating is 36%. Was there anything he was suggesting?
I don't have any more analysis to provide on that front, though. Appreciate the question. Go ahead.
Is the Biden administration reconsidering its support of the Palestinian Authority's two-state solution dividing Israel, or stopping the welfare payments sent to the Palestinian Authority, who use the money for their pay-to-slay reward system? And I have a follow-up question.
Okay, well, I would just note that I spoke to this last week on Wednesday, where I noted that the United States is deeply concerned.
Is the Biden administration willing to stop payments to the anti-Semitic UN agency UNRWA and support restoring the Jewish cemetery in Vilnius, Lithuania to its former glory?
Again, I think I don't have any changes to announce to our policy.
Bishop Evans, the 22-year-old National Guard specialist who drowned trying to save two migrants, I wanted to give you an opportunity to save.
Family. I don't have any, in case you may ask, I don't have any updates at this moment in terms of the president's outreach, but if that is something I can update you on this afternoon, I will let you know.
Congressman McCaul said this weekend that Secretary Mayorkas has expressed some frustration directly to him about how the administration is ending Title 42. He says the secretary is saying that the Border Patrol, Catholic Charities are already overwhelmed. So has the secretary raised these concerns with President Biden, and are these concerns that the White House shares?
And there's been planning in the works for months for this possibility that the CDC to take this action. Secretary Mayorkas is going to be testifying later this week multiple times. I'm sure he will answer that question and multiple other questions, and I will let him speak for himself. But I would just note that we're continuing to prepare for May 23rd and the implementation, and there is a multi-part strategy that Secretary Mayorkas has been leading and overseeing for the past several months.
A lot of the border communities often, say that they've requested more from the federal government, more manpower to help manage these kinds of issues. Is that being looked at? Is that being?
Can you give me a more specific request or a specific person? Or
you mentioned that this specialist was a National Guard. Obviously, the state is in charge of that. States are in charge of that, but there have been requests from the Texas governor to send more, to help people who are in this position at the border, who are now trying to deal with an influx of migrants that they know is going to only increase, as you just mentioned, after Title 42 is lifted.
Well, I would just say if we just dial it back a few years to kind of what we inherited here, the former president invested billions of dollars in a border wall that was never going to work or be effective. And
student debt cancellation. Yesterday, Senator Elizabeth Warren said that the White House has essentially already canceled some student debt by waiving interest on that student debt, and it could use that same exact authority to cancel student debt permanently. Does the White House agree with that view? This is about the authority, not whether you will, but that you can derive the authority in the same exact way.
I don't have anything to preview for you in terms of any authority and how it would work. What I would tell you is that not a single person in this country has paid a dime on federal student loans since the president took office. And what we have said is that he would make a decision about any cancellation of student debt before the conclusion of that pause on student loans. But I don't.
She said that it was an issue of racial equity. Does the White House view this as a racial equity issue?
Well, again, I think the president views student loan relief, debt relief as something that impacts, yes, it is a racial equity issue, but it is also an issue that impacts many individuals. Not a single person has paid a penny, a dime or a penny in student loans since he took office. Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay. Either one. Okay. You're kind of matching today, I'll note. Yeah, there you go. In your suits in blue.
So more people are starting to talk about recession. Goldman Sachs and Bank of America alluded to it because of inflation. The steps that have been taken so far haven't seemed to work to get inflation to come back down. What additional steps are you guys looking at to curb inflation, as well as the feeling that the economy is headed in the wrong direction?
Well, I would say first, there are a number of strong economic indicators that we would point to. We created more jobs last year than any year in American history. Inflation, which the Federal Reserve has purview over, still projects that it will moderate by the end of the year. Healthcare, elder care, child care, those are all steps that are based on the president's proposals.
Does the White House feel any responsibility for, does the White House feel at all responsible, and what more can you offer to people who, are on the border, in border communities?
And I would note that the National Guard work for the states, and so he is an employee of the Texas National Guard, and his efforts and his operation were directed by there, not by the federal government in this effort, in this apparatus. We've long stated that our immigration system is broken.